In this video, I'll be sharing some very simple techniques that you can do to ensure that your diesel starts first time and every time in the cold temperature. I'll also be sharing with you an additive that you can use that ensures that your diesel doesn't freeze when the mercury drops below freezing. So let's start looking on how we can ensure that our car starts first time and every time when the temperature drops way below zero. Okay, let's get into this then. So as we all know, diesel works on compression and needs heat. Heat is absent in the midst and darkest depths of winter when the temperature drops below zero. So the first thing that you can do is cover the engine compartment with a decent blanket to ensure that A, the heat from the engine when you stop is retained, and B, it stops the cold temperature from penetrating the engine block. Let's get into that now and show you how that's done. Okay then, the first thing and the most easiest thing you can possibly do when you get home is to cover the engine bay with a canvas blanket or canvas piece of cloth, a decent one such as this. What this will do is this will ensure that the engine retains its heat for longer, and that may help start up the car first thing in the morning. Very simple to do. Obviously just get your canvas and just apply it to the engine block, making sure that all the appropriate areas are sufficiently tucked in, almost like tucking your baby into bed. It really is as simple as this. Obviously you would do this a lot more neatly than I'm doing now, but what this does, like I say, is this keeps the heat and retains the heat in the engine block, stops the wind chill coming across if your vehicle's exposed as well. So the other very simple trick that you can do is when you've finished for the day and you're parking your vehicle, is get a blanket simply like this and just cover the other exposed areas, such as the radiator grill in particular. What this does is clearly just work like a blanket would wrapped around yourself, and it stops all the cold air, or a lot of the cold air, coming into not only the radiator but also up and under the bonnet onto the engine bay. Small marginal gains all help. Okay, so what else can you do to ensure that your car starts first time early in the morning? Well, one of the things that you can do is change your fuel filter. On most vehicles, it's quite a relatively easy procedure to do it yourself. However, I also appreciate that not many people are confident in doing such a thing themselves, especially when you mention fuel. Although diesel's pretty okay, it's not going to burst into flames, but you do need to be careful. If you can't do it yourself or aren't confident in doing it yourself, do go to a local garage and get it done. It will be done relatively cheaply. Filters, arguably £20 at the moment, maybe, depending on your vehicle. And, you know, it's not even half an hour's work for any decent mechanic, to be brutally honest. I done mine in probably 20 minutes and I ain't a mechanic, and that's with having a cup of tea. So if you think about it, do consider changing your fuel filter, because obviously the fuel has to go into the fuel filter and then into the engine to start. If your fuel filter is dirty or contaminated in way, which that is the purpose of a fuel filter, or there is moisture in there, then those contaminants and that moisture are going to freeze. So fuel is not going to be pulled through at an ideal rate to even help your engine start in the cold temperatures. A real game changer though, for me personally, was using this fuel additive, STA-BIL. Now it's manufactured in America. It is distributed throughout different countries, including the UK. It cleans and it lubricates the fuel system, as it says, and is a water demulsification additive. Now what that means is it will separate any moisture and any water from diesel, which certainly helps because the moisture will freeze. What it also does is it stops the diesel from freezing down to a temperature of -40 Fahrenheit. Now, I don't know what -40 Fahrenheit is in degrees Celsius. I can imagine it's really cold though. It was a game changer for me because I did change my fuel filter. I do add the blankets as we've demonstrated. I do an extended startup where I let my glow plugs glow for 20 seconds and do that twice. And whilst the car did start. It took a few goes for it to start, and it did sound like a bag of spanners because it's a large diesel and very cold. However, add in this though, the following day, where it was the coldest that we'd had this winter, holy moly, it was like a different car. It started first crank. This, I am convinced, is the reason for that. It really is. So I would highly recommend getting a fuel additive that has an anti-gelling capability, but this one in particular really does seem to do its thing. In terms of how much to put in, well, it says on the bottle that this bottle of 32 fluid ounces treats something in the region of 250 gallons, which clearly I don't carry one full fuel tank, and many other people don't either. It also says that you can't overtreat it, so technically you could put the whole damn thing in and it wouldn't make a blind bit of difference, only really lubricate and, you know, stop the diesel from really freezing over. Clearly you wouldn't do that. What I tend to do is I put, and it's marked on the bottle, I tend to put about 100 mil, 150 mil in every other fill up, and thus far that seems to be doing the trick. It really does. So there you go, some very simple techniques that you can do to ensure that your car starts first thing in the morning, particularly if you've got a diesel. First and foremost, if you've got a blanket, cover it, cover the engine bay and some of the exposed areas. I would say, secondly, invest in some of this stuff, because this is really good, like I've mentioned, and also consider changing your fuel filter. I mean, you should do that regularly as a service schedule regardless, but coming up to winter, definitely change your fuel filter. The other thing you could consider if it's nearing due is actually get your engine oil changed as well, because obviously engine oil, especially fully synthetic, does tend to go off over a period of lifetime. Forget what it is, it depends on how you drive, I suppose, but if you put fresh engine oil in, it's not going to be as thick when the temperature goes below zero. It's going to be easier for it to lubricate, which means it's going to be easier for those pistons to go up and down. So that's just as another thought as well. So in no particular order, get some of this, put blankets on, change your fuel filter, and maybe consider changing your oil, and you should have no problems in starting your car first thing in the morning. Okay, if you found this video really useful, please do me a massive favour, like and subscribe. It really is and really would help the channel grow. Thank you for watching, take care of yourselves, and I look forward to seeing you again on this channel for more informative videos.